Orford Ness. How sad to see it without its lighthouse. My home port of Orford. That pile of rubble there is where Orford Ness Lighthouse used to be.
Channel 6767, cover. 367.
Nothing I'm more reluctant to do than stop sailing. The flood tide is about to start. It's going to be very strong. Less than an hour that lasted. I'd hoped for a clear day. I was hoping to see Flamborough Head. This is absolutely lovely. A glassy sea. We're hardly heeled. We're making 5.3 through the water. A breath of wind caressing the sails. We're on a beam reach. And there ahead is Flamborough Head. very good progress across Tees Bay on passage to Blythe from Scarborough. Sailing is like anything else. If you don't practice it, you lose good habits. And I left Lowestoft a few days ago and sailed to Scarborough. It's been 18 months because of COVID since I've done any real sailing of any note. And a coastal passage across the Wash and the Humber is, with a crew, is quite hard work. But single-handed, you can't drop your guard for a moment. So I did find the passage tough. It took well over 24 hours by the time I was moored up in Scarborough. Well, of course, no sleep, but that was well within my comfort zone. I did sleep 12 hours last night, which was absolutely wonderful. Went to bed at 6:30 in the evening, quite soon after I got into Scarborough. Woke up at 6 o'clock this morning feeling much refreshed, and there was a really good weather window to get to Northumberland. So I suppose we're 2/3 of the way to Blythe. It's blowing quite hard from the southwest. It's going to veer slightly to the west towards the later part of this afternoon. But it's been a good fun sail. A much more straightforward sail than Lowestoft to Scarborough. This is what makes this coastal sailing so difficult. My passage plan for AMBLE to Peterhead was an overnight sail in strengthening westerly winds, our course taking us outside the Farne Islands by sunset into the relatively empty, traffic-free waters offshore to the north. Above the Farne Islands, the westerly winds would be stronger as they funnelled out of the Firth and Forth. It was going to be a fast passage overnight until mid-morning, when the wind was forecast to die completely for a couple of hours before southeasterly winds would gradually build and be quite strong by the evening. I counted on motoring for a couple of hours when the wind died, from approximately 10 to midday, before sailing the final 20 miles to Peterhead in the freshening south-southeasterlies to arrive Peterhead about tea time, endeavouring, as I always do, to achieve an unremarkable passage. So, engine failure. Pretty certain it's water pump. The engine will run, but I'm going to have to sail to Peterhead, which is approximately 30 miles away, and then limp in. Hopefully they will let me sail in and then just start the engine to berth. Anyway, I've told Aberdeen Coast Guard and I've asked them to contact Peterhead to let them know. We're due some decent southerly winds this afternoon. I'm just waiting. They're starting to build now. Starting to come. Due 4s and 6s, so starting to freshen. This is quite powerful. I didn't want to be getting the mainsail down in Peterhead Harbour, just in case the engine misbehaved and I couldn't turn to windward. It's going to be a little bit windier later on. We've now got about 18 knots from just east of south. I'm probably not in the best area for marine engineers for yachts. Strong southeasterly. We're making our approaches to Peterhead with a dodgy engine. When the engine broke down, I called Aberdeen Coast Guard the moment I was comfortable with my plan to sail to Peterhead. My engine would probably run for just a few minutes. Plan A was to sail into the port and then on into the marina entrance before motoring the last 100 metres. I asked Aberdeen Coast Guard to ask Peterhead for permission to sail into the port. I also asked if a small workboat could stand by just in case I needed a tow within the port. Aberdeen called me back on the VHF and confirmed Peterhead were happy with my request, and then the Coast Guard called me every hour. The Coast Guard cannot take competence for granted, and little did I know they were taking no chances with me. On the approaches to Peterhead, I called the port, who told me we were expected. I was asked to call again when a mile out. I was about to call again when, to my astonishment, I got a call on the VHF. Talisker 1, this is the Peterhead lifeboat, over. Oh, crikey no. How embarrassing! I'm an avid follower of most things at sea, and I'd read a most extraordinary story from earlier in the year. The Peterhead lifeboat had saved the lives of 5 fishermen in February, in appalling conditions. It was Pat Davidson's first shout as coxswain after serving on the lifeboat for more than 20 years. This very same crew were dropping everything to come and make sure I was safe. I was absolutely humbled. The lifeboat asked if I needed any help. Did I need another pair of hands? I politely declined and thanked them for standing by to shepherd me into the port. Once in the harbour, Pat launched their Y-class to see me into the marina. I'm such supporters of you guys. At the end of this video, please watch the short film produced by the RNLI of the rescue of the fishermen in February by the Peterhead lifeboat, which was also, quite rightly, featured on the BBC's Saving Lives at Sea. At the end of the film, Pat talks about the shout. I can confirm he is every bit as modest, generous and kind as he comes across on the film. Much like all the people of Peterhead, who have made me so welcome both this time and in the past.
I would say with less than a minute from us arriving there, if we didn't get that rope on the first attempt, we weren't getting a second attempt at it. It's as straightforward as that. Been involved with RNLI now for over 23 years, maybe actually nearly 25. You lose count after 20. Just passed out as coxswain back in December, so this was my first call out as coxswain. It's certainly not what I'd planned for my first shout. Thought it'd be a nice flat calm night, maybe a little yacht needing assistance into the bay. It didn't quite turn out that way. It was quite tough getting out of the harbour, due to it being an easterly gale and Peterhead's on the east coast. As soon as we were actually letting go of our ropes, we heard the communications on the radio from the skipper, knew by the tone of his voice that things were getting desperate. So it was a sort of balancing act between sticks flat down, knowing I had guys in the back of the boat wanting them to get the tow rope prepped before I got there, because we'd all seen what the conditions was going to be. And there we saw the boat, just going a mile in front of us. Thought she was actually on the rocks at that point. That looked very close. We immediately requested the helicopter be launched. I really didn't think we would be able to get a line on, one with where she was, and two with the conditions, just like a washing machine in the corner, the breakwater it was. So on arrival, it was just first thing I was doing, just a quick look. Couldn't go around the boat because it was so close inshore, too much breaking waves. Just a quick look to check there was no lines from the previous tow attempt that could end up funning us up. And then it was a case of trying to get the lifeboat turned around into the wind, knowing that we had one opportunity. So I tried to get the boat positioned as best we could, make not a run for it, but to get as close as we could, pretty much without damaging both boats. The video footage sort of shows it all. It's slightly different when you were there, I can assure you. So I was just watching the guy that caught the rope, making sure, and I knew once he had it fast, he was giving me hand signals. And with the way his arms was moving, I knew he wanted me to start pulling. And at that point, just got all my guys on deck, just to clear out the road, being a safe area. It was almost taking full power of the engines, just to stop it from going astern. And then once we got some momentum going, pretty much just sort of feathering the throttles, praying that the tow line wouldn't part, Can't really say no more than that. It all happened so fastly. I've just seen the opening. I did radio into the boat in the harbour and said, listen, I think the safest option here is we just try and get you straight into the bay. We don't go and try and go offshore and be set up another tow, we just go for it. I think from departing the berth to getting the tow on was 9 minutes, something like that, so it was extremely great. The whole operation was over within the hour, about 10-15 minutes maybe of towing, just to get it safely into the harbour, and then 3 harbour tugs took over, just to put it alongside the quay. The skipper was on the radio many a time we were in the bay, thanking us so much for what we'd done. So that's what we trained for. We were just really pleased. We got there in time, and we've got them all back in. It's not only people's lives, it's our livelihoods as well. So, I mean, yeah, the whole crew were sort of humbled. It's not until after you look back and sit and think about it, you go, wow, that was close. Don't want to be in that situation again. For me as a crew member and the rest of the crew, it's fantastic to see the positive support that we're getting. It makes you think, yeah, people do appreciate what we do. The public have been, it's phenomenal the amount of views some of these videos has gotten. I mean, some of the donations that's came through as well. I mean, we can't thank them enough. As I say, it gives us a bit of pride. Yeah, I've been in the boat for many years. Yeah, it just hits back. That feeling of knowing that you've done something good for the community, and you've potentially saved some people's lives. Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. You know, it makes it all worthwhile.